One of my mentors used to say this great thing. Your family knows how to push your buttons because they are the ones who put them there. So if you are dealing with running a business during the holiday season and a little bit of family triggers, a little bit of personal triggers going on there, I got your back. Let's get to it. So there you are in the holiday season trying to make money with your awesome business, and your friends and family keep interrupting you, and or you're missing someone that's no longer here, or you're getting concerned that you don't have what it takes. You know what I'm saying? Those are all personal triggers. You can be going along your day and you see an email come in from maybe an old colleague or a family member you haven't spoken to in a while, or you get reminded of someone who's no longer with you and you wish they were still here. Those are tough. Those are tough moments. I mean, this is when I talk about the fact that we're all people, right? We're human beings running businesses. We're not robots. And life comes in sometimes and it can almost be intrusive. You're just doing your thing and then you get triggered somehow. And you've been triggered when you kind of stop making sense, which sounds funny. But you're just sort of like, all of a sudden you become a little bit more reactionary than you would normally, or you find yourself yelling at someone on your team when you don't yell. Or maybe you find yourself really withdrawing within, even though you have a big to-do list, you're suddenly not able to focus. These are all different ways that we manifest being triggered. This is what it can look like on the outside when you're triggered on the inside. So one of the best things you can do when you find yourself being triggered, especially when you have a whole bunch of stuff you've got to get done, right, is you need to stop for 1 second. One, recognizing that you're being triggered is number one, of course, right? So you've stopped, you said, okay, I'm acting not like myself. Time for me to take a hot second. I'm just going to breathe through this, hold. Right? And then one of my favorite questions is, if my highest self had given me this moment, why would she have done that? So one of my triggers this time of year I'll share with you is my stepmother who passed away from lung cancer several years ago. I really miss her. It's her birthday at the end of November. Even though she was Jewish, she really loved the way that I celebrated Christmas. We had the best time together. We always loved going to see the tree at Rockefeller. We loved to spend extra time with the kids. She loved helping me with Santa. That was always fun. And we had so much fun doing these things together. And I really, really miss her. Right? So I say to myself, if my highest self had given me this, why? And I think it's to remember for me all of the different ways she mentored me, all of the different ways she taught me. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have gone to college. I was the first woman in my family to graduate college. I have 65 cousins. That's a lot of humans, right? And I was the first woman to do that. There's a lot of us now, but at the time I was the first one. She did that. Like she taught me that. She's the one who introduced me to New York City. I wouldn't have had that without her. I probably wouldn't have gotten married and wouldn't have children, right? The list just goes on and on. So it's a great opportunity for me to take a second and remember her. One of the other things I do is this was a ring she wore every single day. And now I get to wear it, especially during this time of year, so that she's with me. I have that feeling that she's here with me, pushing me towards greater education, pushing me towards making myself better, pushing me to question the boundaries and to question what I was told isn't possible, which is basically what she did for me for most of my childhood. That's an opportunity for me to understand that why I do what I do is deeper than just I got bored one day and started a business, right? I'm sure it's the same for you. Now let's talk about family triggers if they're negative. We see these a lot. I don't know if you guys are into the Bad Mom movies, but the Bad Moms Christmas movie is one of the funniest things I've ever seen as it pertains to mothers and daughters, right? And the triggers, oh my gosh, the triggers, right? And obviously it's stereotypical and it's really overblown, right? But there's so many things moms do. So we have the overbearing mom who wants to be your best friend, who always wants to be with you. We have the mom that we feel critiques us all the time, right? And we have the mom who isn't there for us, but expects us to be there for her. So these are stereotypes that are expressed in the movie. So much fun, so silly, but based on what we go through and how we get triggered as human beings. So if you're finding yourself in these moments where someone's behaving in a way, especially as we're around more friends and family right now, if you're finding yourself getting triggered by someone else's behavior, one, ask the question, right? If my highest self had done this, why would she have done that? And two, I want you to ask yourself what you're making their behavior mean about you. So fun, right? What am I making their behavior mean about me? And by the way, this works for clients and customers as well. Because when we haven't dealt, side note, this is like pro tip here, right here. If you have not dealt with what has upset you in your personal life, your family and friends, they will show up as clients and customers. I know. No, it's true. It's true. I learned this when I was learning how to speak in public. And one of my mentors told me at the time, like, listen, if you don't heal what's happened, especially with moms parents seem to be a big player here. Your mom's going to show up in the audience, not your actual mother, but someone who reminds you so, and you're going to get triggered because you haven't healed this. This is such an opportunity as a business owner to look at where your personal life is bleeding in and start to heal it so it doesn't affect you in business anymore. And it's really nice not to be triggered personally too. Because here's the thing, people are just who they are. I know that sounds really easy for me to say, right? So it's like, if you're like in this one, like my dad is who my dad is, my mom is who my mom is, this client is who this client is. And really remembering that they're just there doing them. And that's okay. They have every right to do that. And most of their behavior has nothing to do with you. Always check in and make sure that you have cleaned up any messes. You make sure you are bringing your best self to the moment. But most of the time, they're going through something and it's spilling out over on you. And your responsibility in that situation is to make sure you then don't take that and then spill it onto someone else, right? Your children, your friends, your family, your clients. All right. So if you can really start to understand what you're making someone else's behavior mean about you, it's easier to kind of disentangle it, right? It's kind of when I say to you guys when you're stuck, I'm like, what does the business need from you? This is kind of the same thing. What do you need from you, right? It depersonalizes it. It kind of pushes it over there for a second. When I say that about business, people go, oh, it's not personal. That's right. It's not. The business needs you to act in a certain way. In the moment when you're triggered, you need to learn what you are making it mean and understand that's probably not that person's intention. And what can come up from that, just so that you're clear, are things like, oh, they think I'm stupid. It's probably not what's happening. You might think you're stupid. And that's something we can deal with. And then you want to rework that. You want to rewire that limiting belief, right? To look at all the things I've handled. Anytime something's come up, I've been able to deal with it. Actually, I did this, and this in school. Actually, last week I read 3 books, like start to kind of refute the limiting beliefs, and they'll come up. I'm not lovable. I'm not smart. I'm not good enough. I'm not fast enough. I'm never going to make this work. Those are some of the things. Those are like the usual suspects because none of us are that unique. Those are the ones that tend to come up. And so now you have this massive opportunity, just like I have this opportunity to honor my stepmother. You have this massive opportunity to rewire those beliefs. And sometimes when we get triggered, it's only because we're scared that what we're saying to ourselves is true. What we're making someone else's behavior mean, we're scared it's true. And that's why we start to act a little kooky. So you want to take that moment, take that opportunity to write that out, start to refute it, and then move on with your day and move on to the next task and continue to remain focused and continue always, you guys know the deal, always with revenue producing tasks first. Oh, and if you need to go clean up a mess, go clean up your messes. Say, I'm sorry, it's okay. And of course, if you find someone who's consistently dangerous for you or unkind or unpleasant, please don't hang out with them anymore. But also looking at what you can learn from the experience every time, even if you decide to end the relationship. All right, you guys, I'll catch you in the next episode.